Hey Vault Hunters, welcome back to the channel. I'm Abby and I'm back with even more Borderlands 4 preview information. This time we're taking a look at Harlowe and Amon's action skills thanks to a new article published by GameInformer magazine. The 12-page cover story released today with some awesome cover art that I'm excited to get my hands on, but within the article itself, they released a lot of new information that we haven't heard yet from Gearbox themselves. The beginning of the article talks about landing on Kairos with that level 5 character that we've seen so many times before from the Fan Fest, so I'm not going to go into all that, and obviously you can read the article if you want, but what I want to focus on in this video is talking about the action skills for Harlowe and Amon. Now we've seen some previews of little snippets of gameplay here and there, little flashes of things, so I'm going to try to match them up with what their action skills are listed as in this article. So GameInformer writes that Amon is the hulking brute of the roster, standing over 7 feet tall, which gives me flashbacks from when I used to play Flak and you used to tower over the NPCs in Sanctuary. His movement is noticeably more tank-like than the other playable characters, but he can still run, jump, and traverse the world. I would very much hope so. So moving down here, Amon's action skills lean heavier into melee and projectile gameplay. So I wonder if he's going to have some upgrades to the throwing knives, projectiles, grenades, etc., giving us that ordnance playstyle. And his trait allows him to have a second action skill associated. So this is his passive. So you know how all Vault Hunters have a passive trait? This is going to allow him to have a second action skill associated with each primary one. Now this isn't two main action skills, this is just a secondary one that you can also equip. So you'll understand more as we read along. So Crucible is the first one. This allows him to throw elemental axes at his enemy with its secondary action skill. So there's that trait, gives him a multi-elemental throw. So you can throw elemental axes and then these can be multi-elemental. His second action skill is called Onslaughter, and this gives him a powerful flaming punch with a secondary action skill where he can slam a hammer into the ground to deal fiery AoE damage. I know Destiny Titan mains are loving this already. And then his third action skill is called Scourge, which they say could be the most unique one, where he summons a shield that can absorb damage and then pays it back to enemies with a projectile whip, which sounds hilarious. And then in Scourge, he can also spawn, so I'm assuming this is the secondary action skill, spawn a wall of fire that blocks incoming shots and provides cover for you and your team. So if you are someone that loves to play the tank role, the support role, and you're going to be in a co-op group, Amon seems like he is going to be right up your alley. Graham Timmons also said that he's probably the most complex character, but he's still very approachable, and they designed their action skills of all the Vault Hunters so that you can pick up and play them pretty easily, but they have more depth to them if you want to go into build crafting. All right, up next is Harlowe the Gravatar. So Harlowe's abilities center around a mechanic called Entanglement. When enemies are afflicted with this rainbow glowing ailment, damage dealt to one spreads to impact all enemies currently entangled, which is actually insane. This is similar to Ties That Bind. We've got something that you're going to hit one enemy and it's going to spread to all enemies, which can get really nutty and really crazy if a boss fight has ads. Harlowe is going to be your AoE master, your mobbing master. She sounds really, really great from this article. Let's dive into her action skills, but keep in mind that this is her passive, the Entanglement. So you don't even have to have a specific action skill equipped to get that damage spreading to all enemies. Basically, it's just on her by default, which is actually insane. I really want to look at some of her class mods now because this could be crazy synergy with some of her builds. But let's take a look at her action skills. So the first one is 0 point. Harlowe can use telekinesis style powers to lift an enemy off its feet and suspend it in midair. It's giving phase lock. Then Harlo can slam the affected enemy into objects, ground, and other enemies. We also saw a very short clip of her phase locking multiple enemies, so in her skill tree there may be a skill that you can take that will bounce to other enemies, or that will include other enemies, or up to 3 or whatever it is, similar to how we've seen in past Borderlands. Her second action skill is called Chroma Accelerator, which lets her charge up an explosive unstable energy pocket that blasts forward, entangling any enemy caught in the line of fire or the enormous radius. So this is just a huge big blast. It's going to entangle everything, so it's a way to get that debuff out there. And then finally, the third action skill is called Flux Generator, where she can drop a pulse mine that entangles any creature caught in the wide radius. So the Chroma Accelerator action skill and the Flux Generator action skill seem very similar. One is an explosive energy pocket that kind of blasts forward, and then one is a pulse mine that has a wide AoE, but they both entangle enemies. And that is her passive, which we talked about earlier, where damage dealt to one spreads to impact every enemy that is currently entangled. So those two seem very similar. I'm hoping that the skill tree itself will expand on those to make them feel very different, because we've heard before that they want all the skill trees to feel really different and all the builds to feel different, to where you could take one specific branch of a skill tree and someone could do the same action skill but another branch, and those builds would feel different. So we'll see once we get some more gameplay of Harlo if that is actually the case. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I'll put a link down to the GameInformer magazine in the description if you want to check out the full article. Make sure you subscribe here to the YouTube channel for all Borderlands 4 news, and I'll see you guys in the next one.